and a Chinese perspective. We're joined here in our studios by Teng Jianqun from the China Institute of International Studies. Shinzo Abe knows fully well that this is going to upset a great deal both Beijing and Seoul, and he's still nonetheless gone ahead and done this. What is the message that he's trying to send? Has, according to his point of view and his administration's point of view, have ties between Tokyo and Beijing and Tokyo and Seoul reached a point where that matters less than domestic politics?
Yeah, from domestic approach, we can understand that this visit actually is a continuation for Shinzo Abe to mobilize the support from the especially the conservative side of Japan.
Yeah.
And from international approach, we can interpret actually this is a continuation again to challenge the the interests of its neighboring countries, especially China, ROK, as the victims of the World War II. Actually, the visit is hurt for the feeling in these countries. I think I don't think this is a good celebration for Shinzo Abe to mark his 1 year office. Of course, it's a great achievement for himself. In 20 years, quite rare prime minister can have a 1 year office, but he made it. Yeah. I think this is maybe in his eye, this is a great achievement. But I don't think such a visit at such a sensitive moment is a great event for the neighboring countries.
What can China and South Korea do? We've already seen a very strong statement from the foreign ministry here in Beijing. We've seen very strong statements coming from Seoul as well. But beyond the rhetoric, beyond the statements, is there anything these two governments can do?
Yeah, I think it's not only a protest from the ministries related to the foreign affairs, but I think these two countries or other countries suffered the invasion of Japan during World War II, will give a further response in the future, and this is very important, for I think all the victims of World War II in Asia-Pacific region by Japan, to have a good understanding, to show respect to the history here.
How would you assess Shinzo Abe's role as Prime Minister, both domestically, and that's his primary job, but also internationally in Japan's key relationships with Beijing and with Seoul?
Yeah, generally speaking, Shinzo Abe has made his successful 1 year term. I think this is only I think it's short term for Shinzo Abe because he used a lot of abnormal leverages to encourage the economy to do some thing in enhanced relations with ASEAN nations, with its neighboring countries. But I don't. This is a very short-sighted step taken by Shinzo Abe. How can Japan has a long-term plan to have a good relation with all the neighboring countries, have a strong economy. In terms of the relations among China, South Korea, and Japan, I think this is a very tough for all the countries concerned. How can these countries to ease the tension since last year?
I mean, it's an interesting dynamic on the economic front. Shinzo Abe's government is leaning left. You've got massive monetary stimulus, you've got printing of currency, you've got massive government works contracts that are being given away. That's a leftward shift. But on the military, diplomatic, international relations point of view, it's a clear rightward shift to the cost of its relationship with both South Korea and with China. How do you foresee that political/military relationship in the next year or in Shinzo Abe's next few years as Prime Minister? He's already sort of warming up to ASEAN, to India, to the United States, again, at the cost of neighbors like South Korea and China.
Yeah, I think, Japan enjoys 2 periods of time for fast development after World War II. One, Japan enjoyed the War of Korea, in 1950s because, the United States and Allied forces, took Japan as the logistic base. And at that time, Japan enjoyed the fast development. And then another period of fast development was in 1970s. One reason, as we discussed before here, is the normalization or the good relation with its neighboring countries, with China. Japan and China normalized the relation in 1972, and also the good relation between China and the United States. So I think economically speaking, Shinzo Abe might make it this time. As we discussed just now, it's only a short-sighted approach to encourage the Japanese economy to develop. But I think in the military or in the political side, we can see this is a very dangerous game, including the sharp increase of defense budget, recently announced by the Japanese government, and also, the army build-up, for the self-defense force. So this is a very dangerous or challengeable, a step taken by Shinzo Abe to the neighboring countries. It will hurt not only the, the security and the stability in this region, but also hurt Japan itself.
All right, we'll wait and see how this plays out. Clearly, there's going to be even more reactions in the hours and days succeeding this to Shinzo Abe's visit to the Yasukuni Shrine. Thanks for joining us, Teng Jianqun from the China Institute of International Studies.